Hello YouTube, it's your boy Nathan coming to you to do another recap video. Today we are talking 90 Day Fiancé Before the 90 Days, Season 8, Episode 13, Losing Altitude. So yeah, we got a lot to discuss in this episode, so let's get on into it. The first couple I want to talk is Elise and Joshua. Now, last week when Elise arrived to Australia to meet with Joshua and his roommate Chris and everything, I didn't talk about it, but it was they're best friends. Chris and Joshua, they're best friends, but they have like an interesting dynamic. And they wanted to take Elise to the bar for this like little like Melbourne horse race or whatever and everything. And so this episode, I think they actually missed the race. They were in the car and talking about the race and everything, and they were trying to teach Elise like all the names of what she can bet and stuff and everything. And I think they missed it, but they still go to the bar. And that Chris guy got drunk. And they decided to do a toast. Now, you would think for Joshua to toast to Elise, her being there, traveling for hours to come to Australia. But no, they decided to toast to Chris for, like just him being there as well and everything, I just thought it was extremely weird and stuff. Joshua don't really want Elise. Well, he don't know what he's doing, in my opinion. He don't know what he's doing, and Elise is very, very outspoken and everything. So after they get to the bar and everything, they decide to go back to the rental property that they're all renting for how long Elise is staying up there and everything. And once we get there, they agreed to stay in separate rooms and stuff. They go to Elise's room, and there is a picture of his friend Chris already on the wall and everything, which is weird. There is just a weird dynamic with the friendship between Chris and Joshua. So Elise is like, why are we looking at this? If we wouldn't become intimate, why we wouldn't be staring at him and everything, and stuff and everything, but. And then I guess they only have one bathroom at this rental property. Alicia starts complaining about how small the bathroom really wasn't all that small, but there was no vanity or anything. And she just started complaining of every little thing, not without there being any towels, no vanity, very little space. In fact, Chris is there and everything. It was just complaint after complaint after complaint. And she was also say, you know what? I could have tolerated a smaller space if we didn't have Chris here. And I mean, I kind of agree with that. I mean, this is weird between Joshua and Chris and everything. And yeah, it's just weird. This whole situation with Elise and Joshua is just weird in my opinion. So, yeah, so after everybody gets comfortable, Elise puts on some lingerie, and she decides to go to bed, and she calls Joshua into the room and looks at her sexy and everything, and, and they said their good nights and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, that's weird. This is just all weird to me, in my opinion. Just weird. I'm sorry. Weird. So that was Elise and Joshua. Next couple I want to talk is freaking Emma and Ziad. Well, we only saw Emma. We didn't see Ziad. We seen Emma talk to one of her friends. So a few weeks ago, remember when Ziad had left Emma in that desert, Emma was able to get one of the workers at the desert to get her a taxi and go to a different place to stay at. She didn't want to be in the same like area where Ziad was staying at, and she was able to get a different place in a different room and stuff. She's still in Morocco. She doesn't know what she's gonna do. We've seen her video chat with one of her friends, and she tells her friend like what went down here in Morocco, and her friend was like, he don't really love you, this and that. And she asked her like, are you still talking to him? And Emma said that, Ziad has just been sending me nasty messages saying this and that, like, you're a terrible person. Um, you're like you're like, did he call her the devil? I don't know, but he was just saying all kind of nasty messages, just like he regrets everything with her and everything, that she's a liar and everything. And yes, it sounds mean, but I mean, I don't blame him. But at the same time, it's just that Emma doesn't. As much as she loves the country of Morocco, she does not respect that culture, because that, and then a few weeks ago when they were breaking up, she wanted I know it was in the heat of the moment, but she was just telling Zia, you want to tell the whole world that we had sex, you want to tell them that we had sex. Now, and I said this plenty of times, in Morocco, if you're having sex before marriage, that's actually illegal in that country and stuff. He could be arrested and shunned and stuff. This is not America. He could be in serious trouble when this gets out and stuff. I know you're upset that he broke up with you, but now you got to think of his safety. Like, his life is on the line now and stuff. And she doesn't seem to really understand that. So anyway, she's talking to her friend, and then now all of a sudden she says that she's been texting Muhammad, her ex, the guy who got this all started for her, basically. And so after that conversation, and a few minutes later, they're getting ready to interview Emma again, and she gets a text message from Muhammad, and he actually is calling, actually. So they say, well, answer the call. She answers the call. I guess Muhammad, it wasn't on speaker. Muhammad asked, do you have a boyfriend? She's like, nope, I don't have a boyfriend. I'm single now, and I just really want to see you. And I guess he's like, well, give me a place to meet up. We'll meet up. So Emma's going to go meet up with Muhammad. And that's where we left off. Now, here's my opinion on that, too. Now, I just think this is really weird and stuff that what Emma's doing, but I do know that since they still need a little bit more filming time, I do think that this is actually just a fill-in. Normally I don't defend Emma that much, but I do think that producers are probably just need a little bit more content from her and stuff. So since Ziyad is done, her reaching out to Muhammad and her meeting up with Muhammad is just like a fill-in. Now, we've seen this before in previous seasons. You guys remember back in season 8 of 90 Day Fiancé, Stephanie and Ryan and Harris. Remember, it was Stephanie going to Belize to be with Ryan, and then before she went to Belize, they broke up and stuff. But I guess the producer still wanted her to make the trip and everything and try to work it out. So she still goes to Belize to try to work it out and everything. And they get into a big fight, and he leaves, and then Stephanie was still in Belize and hooked up with Ryan's cousin, Harris. And she said in an interview that Harris was really realistically a fill-in because they still needed more content. So this is what I'm thinking about, is that Emma, it was Zia being done. Emma still needs some content, so that's why she's reaching out to Muhammad. But I saw that she really doesn't want to be with Muhammad. But regardless, this is still weird. I don't understand, like, all these exes and these friends and stuff and everything. Like, it's just weird to me. And speaking of weird, let's talk about Laura and BeerCon. Oh my goodness. So you guys remember a few weeks ago, Laura had a conversation with Michael over video chat, and Michael wants to come to Turkey and stuff. Laura said a few weeks ago she has to talk to BeerCon about it and everything, and she'll get back to him. Well, Michael's goofy self decides to already without telling anybody, already book a trip to Turkey. And he's been blowing up Laura on that. So Laura and BeerCon, they go to another ancient place in Turkey. They go to a lot of these really nice ancient places. And Laura said that with her being a teacher, she's like seeing these things and everything. So she goes to it, and they enjoy their date. And then she sits BeerCon down and tell him that, and remember Michael, he booked the trip to Turkey and he's coming. And Bearcon, as expected, is not happy about it. Bearcon says that, like what if he's trying to steal you away from me and everything? Laura says, well, we just only been friends. We've never been anything else and everything. Like, yeah, but still, like, why you bringing him? And she was like, well, I met your friends and everything, and they grilled me, so why can't you meet my friends and you get the same treatment? He was like, well, I don't want to F my friends and everything. And yeah, like Bearcon is just not taking this well and everything. So like he agreed for Michael to come, but it's just like it's just weird. And I understand Bearcon's side on this because why is another guy traveling to another country? Like I have if like why is another guy in your life traveling to another country to visit you and your boyfriend? I don't understand why people do weird things like that. These weird behaviors with some of these people are just it's just mind boggling to me because okay, I wouldn't be bringing my female best if I'm in another country with my woman. I'm not bringing an ex girlfriend of mine to come up to visit me, or not even my female best friend. Even my female best friend, I would never bring like to another country with me while I'm on vacation with my girlfriend. That is weird. That's disrespectful. Unless we're all planning it together and stuff and everything with their spouses and stuff and everything, like a little friendly vacation. That's one thing. But just randomly on a pop up like that, no, we don't do that. So Bearcon is just still not really thrilled about this. And, they go to a wine tasting test and he's just getting drunk basically. He's just like gulping down the wine, not really tasting all of it, and just still not happy about this. And now he says that he has doubts with Laura because of this and stuff and everything, because Michael's just showing up here unannounced and everything. So then arrives the day that Bearcon arrives. I mean, not Bearcon, Michael arrives. And he actually arrives to Bearcon's apartment. And Bearcon was like, dang, I was fine with him coming to Turkey, but does he really have to come to my apartment? Like, really? She's like, yeah. So Michael comes and Laura gives him a big hug and everything. And first thing Michael asks, they asked Michael, do you want some tea and everything? And he was like, yeah, I'll take some tea. And he asked Bearcon, did the women make the tea or do the boys? He's like, the guys make the tea. We're not boys over here, we're men. He's like, oh, okay. And then Bearcon, he's just like sitting watching TV, just like irritated. Michael and him were trying to have an interaction. He was just like, so what you watching, my friend? Yeah, he was like, some violent show. And then Bearcon asked Michael, do you like violence? He's like, do I like violence? No. And and Michael was just like, okay, so Bearcon is asking me, do I like violent stuff and everything? So already I feel like I'm a better fit for Laura than Bearcon. Just weird stuff. I mean, I guess Bearcon is being a little petty there and trying to be a little bit intimidating. I get that, but I cannot deal with the weirdness. It's just weird to me. That whole situation is weird. Now, Laura posted on social media the comparisons between Michael and Bearcon. I guess they're both like homeless or whatever. They both were homeless or whatever. They both are in debt by a lot and everything, and there were some other things too. So she's trying to really, really like play the story out really good for us, and she's trying to keep us guessing on who she's going to end up with after the season's over. And right now it's literally a toss up between Bearcon and Michael, but there is a lot of similarities. So, but for a teacher, I wouldn't expect this from a teacher. Now let's remember, Laura is a 5th grade teacher. I would not expect a teacher to be doing weird stuff like this. But that's just my opinion. So yeah, that was Laura and Bearcon. Next couple I want to talk is Rick and Trisha. Rick and Trisha. So they're preparing to go meet. Remember last week she forgave him. I don't know why. They're preparing to go meet with Trisha's family. But as they're packing and getting ready to go, they're having a big argument because Trisha apparently was telling Rick about this place that her ex used to take her all the time that she really liked. And Rick is having a fit. He's like, I don't. He actually was screaming at Trisha. He was like, I don't want to always hear about your ex all the time. You think I always want to hear that? Quit talking about your ex all the time. And she's like, I'm just telling you a place where I liked. It has nothing to do with him and everything. He's like, I feel like you're talking about him because of what I did and everything. And Trisha was like, no, I'm not like you. I'd rather be single than go back to my ex and everything. I'm not like you. And she's right, she's not like him. And he's just like, well, every time you talk about your ex and even going to that place makes me feel less than what I've already done for you and everything. And I'm just like, Rick, shut up. And Trisha even said, shut up. And she was just like, and he was like, see, this is what you always do. You like your ex and everything. Now, the audacity, Rick, for you to keep accusing her of that after what you did, you couldn't even wait 5 days. So anything that you tell her is just non and void, in my opinion. You couldn't wait 5 days. If she had an emergency, a family emergency, or some kind of really crazy situation, yes, could she have communicated a little bit better? Yes, but you couldn't wait 5 days. You had to book a trip to another country. So now you're getting mad at her because she's talking about a place that her ex used to take her, a place, and it's not the fact that it was because of her ex. She just likes the place and stuff and everything. There was no harm with that. But then they calm down and then they're getting ready to go to meet Trisha's family. And Trisha's family is kind of intimidating, judging by the previews. So we'll see how that plays out. But that was Rick and Trisha. Next couple I want to talk is my people, my favorite couple, Jovan and Annalyn. Now, as you guys know, I talk to Annalyn a lot, and I actually recently got to talk to Jovan. They're really nice people, really nice people. But oh my God, and I've said all season, they are up and down. They are the most up and down couple of the season. So in this episode, now we haven't seen them in a couple weeks. They had a on Friday nights they aired the More to Love episodes of 90 Day Fiancé with the bonus scenes. There was a scene that they didn't show in the original episode, but they did a bonus scene on Annalyn's cat being rushed to the vet and stuff and everything after they got back from their vacation and stuff. After they went to the vet, everything was good with the cat and everything. And the last time we saw Jovan and Annalyn, we got to meet Annalyn's mom, and she got to meet Jovan and stuff and everything. So in this episode, they wake up. Annalyn goes to the bathroom, and I guess Jovan threw tissues in the toilet there. And I guess like in the Philippines, like the tissues and the water doesn't dissolve right and stuff and everything. They didn't have like regular toilet paper, and I guess it like clogged up the toilet and stuff and everything. Jovan said he didn't realize that, but he was sorry and everything. So after that, Annalyn's mother comes over and they make some breakfast. And their breakfast, their breakfast was like a dinner. I seen like egg rolls and some like a lot of rice and stuff. Jovan even said like, this is not an ordinary breakfast. This is like more like dinner. And yeah, I mean, I get it in the Filipino and Asian culture, like, like what it looked like is probably what they have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and stuff and everything. So while they were having breakfast and stuff, Annalyn's mom was questioning Jovan, asked him, how long are you going to be here? He said, I'm going to be here for like 2 more weeks and stuff. And like, do you have to go back? And he's like, yeah, I do have to go back. And I'm like, are you going to take Annalyn with her? And he didn't answer. Now, here's the thing. The mom was just like, was bringing up her concerns because like it's been 6 years for him to come to the Philippines and stuff. And so she's, concerned on why it took so long and everything. Of course, there's a financial thing and everything, and the fact that they are married and stuff. So she expressed her concerns, but, it is what it is. So after that, Javon and Annalyn, Annalyn's still trying to get used to them like living together and everything, even in a short space. Apparently, Javon is really messy. There was like he was leaving clothes all around the place and everything. Annalyn was trying to get her like clothes like out from outside on the outside hanger and stuff and everything. And he was laying in bed on the phone and not helping her, so she was getting frustrated with that. She asked him, "Can you please pick up your clothes and everything?" And he was getting mad at her for asking her that because it wasn't in the proper tone. Now, throughout this whole season, that's been the constant batter between them. Jovan wants Annalyn to be nicer and to quit with the attitude and everything. Annalyn wants Jovan to, basically pick up after himself and everything, and not always have to bring that up. So that's just been the constant banter between the two all season, and it's starting to get a tiny bit draining. I love them both. I love you, Jovan and Annalyn. Love you both. Calling it as I see it. Love you guys. But yeah. So Jovan was just like, I do have a special day planned for you today. Do you want to go get like a pedicure and everything? So she was like, okay, yeah. And I feel bad for the people doing your feet and everything because you have bad feet. So they go to get their pedicures and their manicures or whatever and everything. And at first it started out really good. And then Jovan asked Annalyn so are you having fun and everything? You enjoying this? She's like, yeah. And then it just turned into then just a big switch happened. It just turned into like, Jovan was just criticizing her. It's like, well, don't get too comfortable. Like, you like to get too comfortable. You still got to be nice to me and everything. And then Anna's like, are you acting like this because of your little masculinity podcast that you always listen to and everything? And he was like, no, Anna, I've always been like this and everything. And she was like, no, you haven't. You were a little bit more like calmer than this. And he was like, same with you. Like, you were more nicer in the beginning and everything. He was like, kept on telling her, don't ever get too comfortable, because you think that since I'm not going to leave, that you can get comfortable and stuff and everything. It doesn't work like that, basically. And it just turned into a big shouting match. And then Annalyn was just like, if you don't want the B word wife, don't be an a-hole. And she threw some clothes at him, and then she stormed out of the manicure place and told Jovan, I don't want to see you again. Don't come home ever. And my thing with that is, why were they having that conversation in front of the men, the people doing their feet? Like that a conversation like that is a private. I don't I felt bad for the workers there. Like listening to that conversation, like they're just like, okay, what the heck is going on? I don't understand why that conversation was right there in the middle of a salon shop, basically. So Annalyn storms out and she's really upset and she's going to get a ride home by herself and everything. And yeah, we'll see how that all ends up next week. But I mean, it's just constant up and down with them, up and down. So, but I'm still pulling for them. So that was Giovanna and Annalyn. And the last couple I want to talk is freaking Lisa and Daniel. I'm drained with them. I'm very drained. Because last week, Lisa told Daniel about all the marriages and that she's still married without telling about that she's still married to the woman. This episode, Lisa wants to plan a romantic getaway, just to get mine off of things. Daniel's just like, is this a trap? Daniel don't want to go on it. In fact, Daniel's just like, no, before we do this, we got to talk to my uncle. I gotta get like forgiveness from the ancestors and everything. We gotta call uncle. And Lisa's making, oh, please don't call uncle right now. Just give me a couple days and then we could call uncle and everything. I just want a couple days, Daniel, with you. I want to fight for you, Daniel. So he's just like, oh, okay. So they go on this trip that she booked. She says she found this really nice romantic place that looked really good on the pictures. This little resort place that looked really good in the pictures. But then when she gets there, she's basically catfish. There's hardly anybody there. They go into the room and there's a spider in the room, and she's freaking out. And it was on the ceiling. Daniel takes a piece of paper and tries to get the spider, and it falls to the ground. And Lisa starts freaking out. She's like, kill it, kill it, kill it. Step on it, and everything. And freaking Daniel starts kicking it towards her and everything. Later on, and then she's screaming, I hear, Daniel, don't do that. I have a phobia of spiders. She was like, it's just a spider. They don't bite. You don't know that. This is Africa. That spider could have been poisonous. You're an a-hole for that. And everything. And they were screaming. They were screaming at each other over a spider. She's like, I'll just kill it. Get it out of there and everything. Oh my goodness. So then after Spidergate, I call it Spidergate, they're still having conversations about everything. And, Daniel's just like, he really doesn't want to be on this trip. He's like, I'm only going on this trip because you spent money and everything. She's like, is that the reason why? He's like, yeah, I mean, you're here and I want to work things out with you, but, I'm just still hurt by basically everything that's going on. So Lisa decides to take Daniel to like out in the back, and then she finds a spot where there's some of these African dancers coming in and everything and doing some dances and stuff, because that's big in their culture and stuff. And Daniel was really happy about that. He was happy to see the dancers. He liked that. She was sitting there and watching them, and they were enjoying it. Got their mind off of it a little bit and everything. Then after that, the other lie comes to light. Lisa decides to tell Daniel the final truth. Daniel's just like, please, no more lies and secrets. And she was like, I got one more thing to tell you. He was like, oh God, what now? He's like, she first asked so in Nigeria, it's illegal for a man and man to be married and woman to woman to be married. But it's not in America, right? He's like, yeah, I know that. And then Lisa's like, well, the truth is, I'm actually still married to the woman, and I'm not married to a man. I'm married to a woman that I'm about to get divorced with. And yeah, Daniel's just like, come on. And he's raising his voice like, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. He's tired of this. Like he's just tired of all of Lisa's lies and everything. And that's why I just say it is draining. He is drained from all of this. And judging by the previews of next week, Lisa's just like, what? If he can't accept me for who I am, F him. You know what, Lisa? He would accept you for who you are, but if you would have just told the truth right out front, y'all could have worked with this. But then you're gonna keep lie after lie after lie, and everything. No, I'm on Daniel's side because this is just, it's a lot for him. You're making him look extremely, extremely bad. And when Uncle gets a hold of it and finds out about all of this, it's gonna be worse. So you can say F Daniel all you want, but no, Daniel's saying F you. So it's just, I'm sorry, this episode was just weird to me. Like, just weird arguments, weird behaviors and stuff. Weird. it's just all weird to me. I'm sorry. This was like a really weird episode in my opinion. So I'm done. I'm done with this episode. So anyway, guys, that is the end of my review. We did not see Aviva and Stig in this episode, or Forrest and Sheena. So yeah, I'm done with this weird episode. But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I'll be back on tomorrow and Tuesday to recap the single life. So until then, y'all stay safe and have a good one. Love you guys. Bye.